Greetings, Que Pasa. You're now tuned in to 13SignsAstrology.com. I'll be your master of ceremony. My name is Ram Hotep L. On this episode, we're going to discuss Philadelphia. I don't know how many of you have been there. I got a lot of international listeners and things of that nature, so I don't know how many of you have actually been to Philly, but I know many of you have because I get a lot of natal readings coming out of the powerful city of Philadelphia. And this episode is dedicated to you guys. Philly, the city of brotherly love. This is what it literally translates into from the Greek. When you study the Greek aspect of the meaning of the name. And Philadelphia is a very significant place when it comes to inner, and understanding our history here in these shores of America. Philadelphia, the home of the first and second Continental Congress. Very important place. Philadelphia once was controlled by the Delaware Native Americans at the time. And all of our powerful cities, no matter if you're talking about Indian Hill, which is in Cincinnati, Ohio, it's not called Indian Hill by coincidence. No matter if you're talking about Manhattan, no matter if you're talking about Cherokee County in Georgia, all of our powerful cities, especially the ones in the 13 colonies, were occupied by Native Americans. And Philly is no different. When you study the history of this country, it goes back to the history of the indigenous Native American. And I want to stress that because this particular episode is going to be about that. But I'm going to talk about the Philadelphia experiment. And most people that know a little bit about the Philadelphia experiment, or even those people that think they know a lot, you may think it has nothing to do with Native Americans. But that's where you may be mistaken, may be wrong, incorrect when it comes to that. The Philadelphia experiment has a lot to do with Native American culture and history, and us merging our history and culture together with European culture and history. Philadelphia is a place where it's a battleground. It's a big city for the military. A lot of wars were fought in Philly. The Great Revolution. Philadelphia was the stage for the Great Revolution. So it's a lot of history tied into Philly. And when you couple it with the information that you find out when you research Philadelphia experiment, which I'm going to try to save you a little bit of research and tell you a little bit about it here in this video, you'll see something epic playing out. Philly is very important. One of our greatest actors, Will Smith, is from Philly. Worldwide, you could be in China somewhere. When you say Will Smith, and people know who Will Smith is. Our first melanated president, who actually had to hire a crisis actor, because they had crisis actors back then. And when you see the pictures of John Hanson, which was our first melanated president, you'll see a picture of him being Caucasian, and most people say, oh, that's racist. They trying to make him look white. They changed his image. How do you know he didn't do that? See, it's a reason why a lot of melanated people back then would make themselves white. There's a reason for that. And it has nothing to do with self-hatred. It's a big history behind that. I'm not going to talk about that here. But our first melanated president, John Hanson, was the president of the Continental Congress, and he is very significant when it comes to Philly. So Philly is just one of those places that a lot of our history goes back to. A lot of my family history goes back to Philadelphia myself. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the Philadelphia experiment. Now, what it is on the surface is that a man by the name of John Newman was responsible for putting together this project called the Philadelphia experiment. And this took place around the time of World War II. And in World War II, and the Philadelphia experiment, they go hand in hand, because what this experiment is really about is it's about trying to establish this, what we call in the occult, these unlimited years of unlimited progress that we've been trying to bring to this planet, and us getting it together and getting it right over here in America is very key and significant in us bringing this unlimited progress to the planet. So essentially, when you study about the Philadelphia experiment, you'll see that it was basically based on Nikola Tesla's research, and you start to find out about extraterrestrials. You start to research, and you'll find out that the government has all these documents about it, but they blacked it out, and they blacked out a lot of these documents, and they don't really tell you what really went down in the Philadelphia experiment. A lot of it is behind the vault, straight up a secret. The only thing that we really know, thanks to Drunvalo Melchizedek in his book, The Flower of Life, shout out to him, because he's a Melchizedek, just like myself. I'm a Melchizedek, so shout out to all the Melchizedeks out there. But thanks to him and a few others, we were able to get a little bit of the history behind the Philadelphia experiment. And it goes a little something like this. The surface part of it is that a group of scientists or soldiers were put on a Navy ship in 1943, and this Navy ship was teleported into another dimension. And by them being able to teleport this Navy ship into another dimension, they essentially made it invisible. And this was something that at that time they were not able to do. Because what you have to remember is now they're able to make a Navy ship invincible. It's called using dark matter. They have dark matter vests now that they can put on soldiers in dark matter suits, and they can make invisible soldiers. They can put dark matter around different war vehicles and make invisible vehicles. So this is technology that they have made public now, but they obviously had it back then, and they were experimenting with it back then. And what they did was that they made a ship invisible, and they were able to move the ship into another dimension. And when the ship came out on the other side of the portal that they created, they were in 1983. So the ship teleported from Philadelphia in 1943, and it teleported into Montauk, New York in 1983. And this goes into something that's called the Montauk experiment. I may not be pronouncing it correctly, but you can look it up. And in 1983, they had to do another experiment called the Montauk experiment. So according to Drunvalo Melchizedek's research, he talks about how they were experimenting with Merkabas to create this experiment, to even do this experiment. And the Merkaba is nothing new. See, the pyramids exist in the Merkaba, the pyramids themselves. You can go into the pyramids at different times and during different alignments, and you can time travel. Because when you break down the term Merkaba, you'll see the term Mer or Mir. And a mirror is another name for a pyramid. This is what the ancient Egyptians called it. They called them mirrors. So a mirror is basically a portal or something you can go into, and you can time travel. You can either do this through meditation, or if your energy is high enough and you are in tune with your light body, you can go inside of this mirror and you can project. You can astral project into another time period, another time frame. So they did this in the Philadelphia experiment, but they created what's called a synthetic Merkaba based on some technology that they were given by some greys, by some alien greys. And these alien greys gave them the technology to create a machine that essentially activated the Merkaba of all of these participants that were participating in the Philadelphia experiment, and they teleported by creating a greater Merkaba. They used all their Merkabas and put them together and created a greater Merkaba, and was able to create a portal, and they were able to teleport into the future. And this happened. It's proven. You can go research the military records. This happened. So this is talking about time travel, ladies and gentlemen. So what happened is that once this happened, many people started to interview some of the participants. One of them had the last name Duncan. I'm not sure his name. I didn't take any notes. I don't really like taking notes when I do my videos. I like to just channel and recite. And one of them had the last name Duncan. And Duncan and a couple others reported feeling a funny feeling after doing the experiment, they were imbalanced. Their emotional body was out of whack. They were tired and drained out and all of this type of stuff from partaking in this Philadelphia experiment. What happened? What was wrong with them? Jervalo Melchizedek even goes on to say that he met with Duncan, I believe it was, and Duncan couldn't even get close to him because he had his natural Merkaba activated. But Duncan, what was wrong was that his light body wasn't activated properly because he probably wasn't eating healthy during the time. He probably wasn't eating a vegetarian diet and all of that during the time. So what happened with him was is that he activated his Merkaba synthetically. This is when I talk about people that do drugs and smoke weed and do stuff like that. Yeah, you may activate your Merkaba and activate your third eye, but he did it synthetically, and he had a lot of what's called backlash or a lot of side effects from doing this. So he was drained out. Jervalo Melchizedek couldn't even get close to him. If he would get too close to Jervalo, he couldn't get too close to him because Jervalo Melchizedek's energy was too strong for him. And he said he could see things around Jervalo's Merkaba. He still had gifts, Duncan did. He was able to see into the astral realm. He was able to see into individuals' light bodies and see people's light bodies, just like I can. I can see people's light bodies, and many people can do this. They can look at a person and see their aura and see their energy and see things around them, demons and angels. A lot of things that they may see around these people may not even realize that they have it around them. You tell them, you might say, I see this about you, or I feel this about you, and they may get offended. Like, I don't have that around me. I'm pure. I don't have no demon around me. What are you talking about? I don't see that. Well, maybe you're not in tune with the higher energy of what this person is seeing. A lot of times we have the gift of seeing and being a seer or a visionary. You may be seeing things to play out in the future, and you may not realize it because when you look into a person's aura, you're seeing the total essence of them, past, present, and future. And when you're able to see things and pierce the fog and see things, you don't know if this is past, present, or future. A lot of times it's hard to put it into perspective. You may see something negative on them or going on with them or feel a negative energy that's something that hasn't played out yet. So that has a lot to do with it. So he was able to basically see, he had special powers, and obviously he was in tune with these extraterrestrials had began to follow him, and they were attached to him because of this experiment. So this is what happened during the Philadelphia experiment. It really kind of like opened up what you would call a can of worms by doing this thing. But what you'll find is once you start researching it, according to Melchizedek and other authors, that this experiment didn't start with the Philadelphia experiment. It goes back further than that. The Philadelphia experiment ties into the Martian experiment, which took place over 50 million years ago. And the Martian experiment is when the Anunnaki began to come to this planet and they began to seed life here on this planet, and they began to set up Lemuria and eventually Atlantis here on this planet. That's what the Martian experiment is about. So when you go to, say, for instance, Mars, you'll see pyramids there. And this is because life didn't start on this earth. Human life started in Mars, and it was transported over time to this earth. Even the organisms, even like the protoplasts and even the different organisms and cells and all of this stuff, a lot of this was created in laboratories. A laboratory by the name of Shimti is what they call it. And Shimti was actually in Mars. It was transported here, and they eventually built a laboratory called Shimti here. But Shimti started off in Mars and was transported here. Mars is called Lahmu by the Sumerians. So when they talk about Lahmu, they're talking about Mars. So life eventually was transported here to this particular planet. And that was a part of the Philadelphia experiment. See, the Philadelphia experiment goes into life itself. And it goes into the human story itself. And how we've been trying to bring peace here on this planet. We've been trying to experience unlimited progress. But first we have to perfect humans. That's right, you can become perfect. And I know you're born perfect. Don't get me wrong. But you're born perfect and made imperfect by getting initiated into the culture of this world. You see, this is what happens. You're born naturally a vegetarian, and your mother or father has to slowly break up the meat and feed you the meat so you can begin to eat meat. So you're naturally a vegetarian, just natural. See, a lot of things about a child is natural. You're naturally able to see Merkabas as a child. See, go around and bring your child around people to see if that person is right. See, if the children love a person and they embrace a person, they're probably right. If the animals love a person and they embrace a person, that person is probably right. But if the animals are kind of like get upset, or they kind of get vicious around a person, or children start crying around people and they don't want to be around people, not always. I'm not knocking people, not always. Because sometimes people might be in a bad mood and children picking up on that. But I'm saying generally, if you always bring your child around a particular person, every time you bring them around, the child's like holding on to the mommy's leg, like, no, I don't want to go around this particular person. No, like, I'm scared of this person. There's something wrong with that person. And that person might not even see it themselves. See, children see through bullshit. They pierce the fog. Like, so you're naturally born with these abilities, is what I'm getting at. So humans are naturally born perfect. So this experiment carried over. Then it went into Atlantis. Once we transported from Mars to here, then it went into Atlantis. And what happened is that they tried an experiment in Atlantis where they tried to make humans back into being light beings by teaching them how to activate their Merkabas. Because that's why you want to do this. You're trying to make humans into light beings. Unlimited progress for humans is the ability to be able to take this matter, this gross matter, and turn it into light so that you can move into any time and space that you want to. And the goal of humans is to become immortal, which is to beat death, to where there is no death on the planet, where nothing dies. We don't have to die. The extraterrestrials have the cure for death. Many reptilians already experienced it. So every time they do this experiment, a lot of people end up dying. So in Atlantis, when they did this, something similar to this experiment, eventually, now you got to remember this happened over time, but eventually humanity pretty much got wiped out after Atlantis. That's why you really hear nothing about it. Atlantis took place like over 50,000 years ago. So this is why we really don't have it in our history. Like, our history kind of stops at ancient Kemet. Kemet was nothing but an island of Atlantis. Kemet was nothing but kindergarten compared to the knowledge we had in Atlantis. All the great stuff and the anomalies that you see associated with Kemet, and Egypt is what some of you call it. This is nothing compared to Atlantis. Nothing. This is nothing compared to what we were doing up in Mars, or what the Anunnaki was doing in Mars, and some of us took part in Mars. So every time they do this experiment, we lose more and more knowledge. We lose more and more knowledge of ourselves. So this time, the Philadelphia experiment actually started up when aliens first, they've been coming to this planet, but when they decided to make themselves known here in the Americas again and try to initiate us again, they always give us this chance to get initiated into the Galactic Federation of Light. This is what it is. And every time we get a chance to get initiated, something happens and we fail. So this is why Philadelphia is called the city of brotherly love. Because love can naturally activate the Merkaba. I know it might seem like I'm jumping around here, but just bring it all together and I'm painting a collage or a picture and it'll make a lot of sense to you. Because I'm going to get to a little bit more because it's still going on. That's right, it's still going on. So every time we do this thing, a lot of humans die. So they call it Philadelphia experiment because Philadelphia means brotherly love, right? Philly deals with love, but why is it called Philadelphia and all these wars and stuff are fought there? And it's like a battleground there. What's going on there? What's up with Philly? And it's not about Philly. This is a message and a sign to what's up with America. This is where everything started at, in the Americas. Why is this land in America always, wars and stuff are always being fought? Why can't we seem to get it together? This is a part of us experiencing unlimited progress. So in 1913, the Greys came and made themselves known. Back to my point. And they made themselves known to a certain group of people, which is usually the military. They usually go to the highest, smartest group of people that they think are the most ready and the most initiated as far as science and technology to understand what they're going to bring them. So the Greys came to high up officials in the military at the time. And this is when the Philadelphia experiment began. Now, it's a lot of stuff that was going on in 1913 with the Native American history. Don't forget now, Native Americans tie into this thing. Because when you deal with aliens, Native Americans have a lot of documented history about aliens. I have a book, I wish I had it here, it's called Star Ancestors. And that tells you a lot about us as being Native Americans and our connection with aliens. So when I talk about aliens, man, people think this is a game. Like, I got to stop here and say something because I've been dealing with a lot of students, and I'm going to do a video separate really talking about this, but people think I'm playing when I say that I'm in tune with aliens, and they keep saying, well, if I do a meditation with you, is the aliens going to show up? I want to see the physical aliens. What makes you think, like I was telling one of my students earlier, what makes you think that a highly sophisticated advanced society would want to manifest physically into a gross body? So why would an alien even want to make themselves known and move from out of the shadow realms into the realm of light or consciousness. Why? That would be like an understatement for them, or that would be what you would call going backwards for them. They came from that. So the only time they would even reveal themselves, even in the form of a silhouette or a body, is if you're in a dream, astral state, or if that's how you need to see them. But what makes you think an alien's going to come by and shake your hand? They have hybrids for that. You entertain aliens every day. You just don't understand what a hybrid is. They can create a hybrid for that to come in. If you need somebody physical to talk to, and you probably wouldn't even believe that was an alien. So you're not going to get into this thing and understanding ETs and extraterrestrials or lights unless you first understand that the body has very little to do with it. To entertain aliens, I could be entertaining aliens in a room where nobody's there. And you might call that schizophrenic or crazy on one level, but Nikola Tesla did it. He wasn't called crazy. Obviously, John Newman was doing it, the leader of the Philadelphia experiment. He wasn't called crazy. What's his name? L. Ron Hubbard. He was in tune with extraterrestrials. Aleister Crowley, he talked a little bit about what you call demons or extraterrestrials. What's the guy that built the Coral City in Florida? He said aliens taught him how to do it. Look up, you could Google the Coral City. I can't remember the guy's name right now. But yeah, he built this coral city out of coral reefs in Florida, built the whole city by itself. By itself. So you mean to tell me he did this? How was he able to do this by himself? And you call people that's into aliens crazy or insane or schizophrenic and paranoid and all this stuff? Think about things. Some of the most greatest people, Albert Einstein, I think, even talked about aliens, attribute their success to saying, we realize there's definitely something else out there. And they'll talk about it like it's nothing. It's most scientists. They don't really get all cooped out about it. This is only people that are mundane or lower level people to get all tripped out about it. So this Philadelphia experiment thing is important because it ties right in with the whole alien thing. And the gray aliens are scouts. So they're who the reptilians send first. Like if you want to understand how these aliens work, they work in droves. They come in droves. And they have different tiers of aliens. The gray aliens are usually slaves or scouts. They were once slaves of the Anunnaki. Then after they lost they have what's called the Rumardians actually to clear it up. So it's different types of grays. The Rumardians are actually a species in and of themselves that broke away, and they're not up under slavery of anybody. They're a separate, independent species. But then you have gray aliens that are scouts, and these are what you would call grays. And they look just like Rumardians, except they're what you would call EBEs, biological entities. And these biological entities they're programmed to do certain jobs. So they came and used the grays to teach humans in the beginning in 1913. And it was a secret at that time. They didn't really tell too many people. So then in 1943, that's when they came back again and they did the Philadelphia experiment during this time. And you notice every time, and this is where this is the meat of the video, because this is going to take us into what's going on with the experiment now. So you notice every time they kind of introduce us to this new project or they give us a new system, like in 1913 it was about the Federal Reserve. You notice a lot of stuff happens economically when they bring this Philadelphia experiment into play. See, for Atlantis it was about activating the Merkaba because they were on a higher level. We've come down so low now to where the experiment is usually tied into economics. So you notice the Federal Reserve was created, and it was created based off of the U.S. Treasury. See, this is where they get the money from the Fed. They borrow from the U.S. Treasury to print up the fiat notes. And this was started in 1913. And it goes into gold and all of that. You notice the Anunnaki story talks about them coming to mine for gold. What is going on here? This is dealing with, what this experiment is about is that we're trying to teach humans how to live in a state of peace and love and unlimited progress, though. Because humans have to be, in order for humans to be initiated into the Galactic Federation of Light, we have to master every problem. What unlimited progress is mastering every problem on this planet. The war on drugs, the war on poverty, the war on terrorism, all of this stuff. And the thing is that every time the aliens come and give us information, they usually bring a new technology or a new higher way of thinking about things. And a year after, a war breaks out. See, in 1913, they came, they brought us all this information, and in 1914, the war broke out. World War One broke out, somewhere around there. See, in 1943, they came again, and then in 1944, World War Two was going on at the same time. So it's like every time they come associated with war. You call it the Philadelphia experiment, but then there's wars being fought all over Philly. The American Revolution even ties into the Philadelphia experiment because of the fact that we were fighting over. Some people wanted to break free from England, not pay taxes. Other people didn't. You notice that Georgia, during the First Continental Congress, Georgia wasn't even a part of it because Georgia was still trying to get concessions from England because they had a Native American problem. That's where Indians come in at. They had a problem with the Native Americans that they had to deal with because Georgia ties into Cherokee land. This is where Cherokee County is. And we're going to do a whole video on Georgia and talk about that. So Georgia is very significant. So Georgia wasn't even a part of it. Then you have the American Revolution. The Civil War. See, it's like we've been trying to get it right, like over and over again. But every time these aliens come and they give us a solution, a war breaks out. So the Philadelphia experiment is about unlimited progress, love, and peace, but it's about making humans better so that we can accept this unlimited progress and we can use our knowledge to further ourselves and to better ourselves. So now I'm going to jump into 1983, and I'm going to start talking about 1983 because in 1983, and the 80s in general is a very important year. See, in 1983, this is when, this crack cocaine was booming during the time. This is when hip-hop music started to take off during the time. And this is, remember, in 1943, they astro projected into 1983. So something happened. Something happened. And they obviously, people that were born, especially after 1983, but even people that were born in between 1943 and 1983 all have some type of connection. We're all connected in some kind of way. And there's different levels to it. But the people that were born after 1983 come in on the back end of the Philadelphia experiment, whereas the people that were born between 1943 and 83 were part of the portal aspect of the experiment. So what Drew Vallow was saying when he met with Duncan is that Duncan started to tell him that the experiment wasn't over. He was like, it's still going on. He was like nervous, and he was like really going crazy. He was biting his nails, and he was kind of like losing it. He was like, a lot of people are dying. It was like people dying around him, and they kept trying to patch it and fix it, and they kept doing temporary fixes, and this is because nobody wanted to embrace the spiritual thing. So they kept coming up with fake, false ways of fixing the experiment. The negative aspect of it. There's a negative aspect to the experiment. This is what I'm talking about here. So after 1983, this is when you get into the monetized aspect. So this is when the opposite end of the portal. You've now went through the portal. You went through one end. Imagine it as actually like pyramids. You have like every pyramid, believe it or not, is two pyramids. The pyramid that you see visibly on the surface, and then there's a pyramid that goes just as deep under the surface. This is a portal. This is a portal. So this is the same thing. They created a pyramid in the Philadelphia experiment. So imagine 1983 being the 0 point. The first end started in 1943. Then you get to the 0 point in 1983. Then you got to come out the pyramid now on the other side. So everybody was born after 1983 are coming out from the other side. So this is when you start talking about star seeds, indigos, crystal children, people that are from Sirius, people that are from Pleiades, different beings coming. All of this ties into the Philadelphia experiment. So now we're on the other side, and the experiment is still going on. So what happened is that every 10 years, starting in 1913, because this is when this new era of time really started, when the Greys first made themselves known and made themselves present. Every 10 years, they found out a portal opens. Every 10 years. And this portal is going to continue to open and close for a certain amount of time. And I won't give the date when it's going to stop. But humans are going to get a chance every time it opens and closes to perfect this thing. An experiment always has to take place every 10 years. So 1913, an experiment took place. 1923, an experiment took place. You may not realize what it was. 1933, which is a key year dealing with economics and gold, experiment took place. 1943, an experiment took place. 1953, this is when the computer boys start being born. The age of computers. IBM, which is all dealing with alien technology. This is when this started taking place. 1963. This is when civil rights and all this stuff was coming up in the game. 1973. This is when hip hop was first started underground. 1983. This is when it started to become commercial and everything became commercial and we got off the gold standard and crack cocaine came out. 1993. Another experiment took place where they figured out a way to kind of fix it. They thought they fixed it. They did a ritual according to Melchizedek. You have to get the book to really go into it. It explains it very articulately. They did a ritual based on harmonics to fix the problems that this experiment is going out of whack. And every 10 years, stuff keeps happening. This is what the movie Lost is about. Watch the, not movie, it's a TV series. That's what it's really about, the Philadelphia experiment. And things going out of whack. You notice they kept coming back to the island. They kept, and if you get to the end of it, they kept crashing on the island. I could do a whole video talking about Lost. I love Lost. But they kept crashing on the island or whatnot and kept replaying situation, events kept playing out, but then they would play out differently. This is what's going on. This is exactly what's going on. We're stuck in a time warp, ladies and gentlemen. We're not even in real time. We're part of an experiment, and it's been going on. We can't get into real time because we can't seem to live in love, peace, and harmony and joy together, because every time the experiment happens, another war breaks out. So in 1993, they thought they fixed it, but they didn't. Because then we went into 2003. Things happened. 9/11 ties into the experiment. More lives were lost, more bodies. People got locked up in 2003. One of the Melchizedeks got locked up in 2003 because he didn't do some things right. He got caught up in his own experiment. I'm not going to go into too much of it here, but he didn't do some things right. So the next thing you know, he was locked up in 2003. So then we hit 2013. So every time we do this experiment, ladies and gentlemen, there's always a point man or woman or a group sometimes that act as the channels that deal with the extraterrestrials and the humans as mediums. This is what you would call a prophet. A prophet is nothing but really a medium or arbiter that talks with the aliens, or what you would call the angels or God. Some of you guys call it God. For religious people, it's fine. And then they'll come back and tell the humans, this is what God said. Prophet means messenger, spokesman, a nabi. This is what you call in Islam, and even in Hebrew. And a spokesman or woman would come and tell the people, this is what God said. This is what God wants. This is what, the universe wants. And now we're saying the universe. This is what we're saying now. Back then we were saying God. So June Valo said that he was told not to fix the experiment. And like when he first met Duncan, which I think was in the 80s, when he met Duncan, he said the angels showed him a way to try to fix this thing. But they told him don't do it, because they said that they were going to send an angel or somebody else to fix that. And in 2012, I did a ritual. And I'm not trying to boast about myself, but this is real, man. Like, I'm involved in an experiment right now. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Some of those people that started the experiment back in World War II were my ancestors. So I was involved in a ritual in 2012, right precisely during the time that Jurvalo, and I didn't even know about this. I didn't even read this book till after. And the ancestors and the angels told me to do a ritual. In 2012, it was the first Papa Legba ritual I did, which was kind of like a winter solstice ritual at the time. And you can go back and check YouTube and see that I did this ritual. And you'll notice I was not talking about no Philadelphia experiment because I didn't really know this was linked into it. But then if you get that book by Jurvalo Melchizedek, and you'll see that he actually writes this. You'll see I'm not making this stuff up. So I did a ritual because the ancestors told me to do a Papa Legba ritual, and they said it was going to open a portal. And that ritual fixed things. It fixed things temporarily because it helped me to get out of a situation personally, and it helped a lot of other people out. But then it's slowly, this is when I'm about to get into the meat of it, because I need you guys' help. It's slowly starting to turn into a problem. Because you notice that was 2012, and then we went to 2013. So then remember I said every 10 years a portal opened. So really that ritual was just really anointing me to do some work in 2013. So in 2013, I had a series of attempts on my life, not even knowing that. I didn't even figure this out until late this year, or right, almost just a few weeks ago, late last year, early this year, that this was all tied into an experiment, and these people were attempting my life because they were being used by other ETs to test me to see if I was really the one to be the point man for this phase of the experiment, because we're running out of time now. I'm not going to go into it. We only have, remember I said the portal is going to open and close every 10 years, but it's not going to keep doing it forever. We're not going to stay in this time warp forever. So this is a very key time. It's a very key time because this is one of the last times. And I was chosen to do this thing, and a lot of people don't like it now. A lot of people don't like it now because where this country has to go and the angle that this country has to go in, a lot of people don't want to accept this because it's tied into economics, it's tied into a lot. The stuff that you've seen with the government shutting down, all of this is a part of the Philadelphia experiment. Obamacare, this is a part of the Philadelphia experiment, and there's a solution, and I know the solution in my mind right now to get people out of this economic crunch and problem, because this part of the Philadelphia experiment is all about economics. We've drowned ourselves in debt. When President Barack Obama came in, it was only $9 trillion worth of debt. Now it's up to $17 trillion worth of debt. He ran off of the fact saying that he was going to help us get out of debt. Now we're in more debt. So it's the problem is still going on. See, this is the problem. It's about money. The reason why it's about money, even though some people say, well, that's not money, that's fiat notes. I'll do a whole nother video talking about, I understand that totally. I'm getting tired of people even doing that. Like I posted something on Facebook the other day, and somebody comes on there, and I'm not knocking this person. They're like, you don't have anything. You're talking about rich and poor. If you don't have resources, you're not rich. Don't you think I understand that and I know that? But at the same time, we got these people that are on money. People are on money. It's like a religion. As long as you believe in it, then it's going to be in existence. So as long as people believe in the dollar, you can go out and buy gold with it. So you can go out and buy resources with money. So money, or fiat notes even, is still key. And I said I was gonna do a video on Bitcoins, but Bitcoins is not even the solution. It's not the solution. The solution is you and your mind. That's the currency that they're trying to hide from you, the new currency. It's mental. It's a mental currency. Remember I was telling you about the Andromedans and how they can invent technology to basically do what you would need $1 million to do. Now, you can do it. You can be the next inventor to invent technology that would separate the gap between the haves and have-nots. You have to be a creator, a designer. Your creativity is the new currency. So the problem now we having is that the banks are messed up. This is what's really going on with the whole Philadelphia experiment. The banks are messed up. Certain debts and bonds are maturing. And if it doesn't get in order, a war is going to break out. This is a prediction I'm telling you guys right here and now. World War III will come. And it's not even just based on money, but that's a part of it. But we need transparency with the Federal Reserve and things of that nature. Now we need the Fed to become more transparent. We need to see what the hell is going on. What is the relationship? This needs to be taught. See, transparency goes into teaching. So this is why you have all these leakers and stuff coming out. It's all part of the Philadelphia experiment. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, the Bradley Manning guy that leaked all the documents. You got all these people leaking documents because transparency. The military operates in a top secret mode, but what's happening is that the aliens are starting to get out of choosing the military class to reveal stuff through. And they're starting to choose the truthers and the indigenous and the patriots and the Americans. And it's a lot, man. Because even the Moors, because I didn't even talk about this, even the Moors have a lot to do with this experiment going out of whack. Because if you remember, Noble Ali was told by the President Woodrow Wilson that he was ahead of his time. He did some things that kind of shifted and messed up some stuff for black people. Yeah, I ain't forgot about that aspect of it. And a lot of black people, they ain't gonna want to hear it. I mean, you call yourself black, so that's what I'm gonna address you as. And even though he was standing up calling us Moors and things of that nature, you notice that a lot of people went right after he transpired. A lot of deaths took place around Noble Ali, and then eventually he ended up dying. However that happened, we don't know. And then you have this group, these black groups that start to come up. So wars were starting to break out even in the black community. Why? Because black people, you are not black people. You are Native Americans. You're not. You're more than a Prince Hall. And if you are a Prince Hall, it's cool. He was a prince. Hall. Research the name Hall, which is a trust. So you need to learn where these names come from and where these names are. Go back to different counties. Now, I'm going to talk more about it, but we existed here in this land before there were cities and states. There were counties, and we honored the counties. The counties are older than the cities and states. Moors already know this stuff. This is nothing new to you guys. Older than the cities and states. A lot of even Masons know it, but it's a secret. See, the thing is that now all these secrets gotta like stop, because we can't really. We have to start educating people. I'm not saying don't withhold information for a certain period of time until the person is ready to accept it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying just go out here and just be like a blubbermouth, because I could tell you a lot of stuff I don't even talk about. I'm filled up with all kind of secrets right now that I don't even talk about. So I'm not saying be a blabbermouth and just go out here and just start saying stuff to sound smart, because I'm very strategic. See, Philly, if you notice Philly, a lot of think tanks came out of Philly. So I'm very much in agreement with think tanks and things like that. I can tell you a lot about the Illuminati. I'm gonna do a video on it, but it's a time and place for everything. But the thing is that why are you keeping things a secret? Like ultimately, because really most of these orders are designed to where the common man and woman never knows. Philadelphia is a commonwealth. Pennsylvania, excuse me, is a commonwealth. Common. Research the term common in Black's Law Dictionary and see what you get. It's a commonwealth, which means that we are supposed to basically, it's like you have public monies and private monies. And there's always supposed to be a certain amount of money there for the public. But since we have robbed our land and robbed the counties, a lot of public funds aren't there. So now what's going on with this aspect of the experiment is that debt has to be balanced. This is why we owe a lot of people, because we are in debt. The scales of Libra have to balance themselves. So if this doesn't happen right, then a war is going to break out. And the only thing that's going to really balance the debt and teach people how to balance the debt is not starting more companies. We've tried all of these things. It's not going to war and stealing resources from people. It's not using the NSA to spy on people while they're taking the shit, because that's what y'all be doing. It's not doing all of that. The only thing that's going to really help us to fix this thing is teaching people to be spiritual and creating transparency and doing that in degrees and in tiers. So that's what this version of Philadelphia Experiment is about. And I myself have an idea. I'm getting ready to put together a think tank, because this thing, I know I talked about the Starseed music movement, and because of the way things are going, I can't even do that. And I'm not going to talk about why here. You'll have to join the think tank when I put that together, but it's coming really soon. It's coming really soon. And it's really already forming. It's people that are taking the light worker courses, they're going to be the first people that I choose, because I'm going to choose people to be a part of the think tank. So when people email me and say, yeah, yo, Rod, what's going on with the Starseed movement? Blah, blah. The Starseed movement is going on. I already told a few people that. You just don't know about it. Maybe I didn't talk to you about it. Well, I want to work with you and I want to do this. I'm already working with people in dreams and everything. Maybe you just didn't get contacted yet. I'm not trying to be funny or anything. This is the thing. Like, I'm not trying to make myself anything special. I just have ideas, and I'm being responsive. I did an experiment and a ritual. I'm not responsible for seeing this thing through. So I need you guys' help. But at the same time, you can't tell me how you're going to help me, because I'm having like problems with that right now. Like, a lot of people, they want to come and help me, but then they want to say, I'll help you, but then you want your boy and your girlfriend and this person to help. Do you want to go bouncing back and forth and go with other political parties and help? I represent a certain aspect of politics. I represent a certain aspect of spirituality. And if you want to be on doing what I'm doing, you got to denounce everything else. You're not going to sit up here and be calling yourself, for black people, calling yourself black and me doing this whole black thing, and then try to come up here and do the whole Native American thing. That's not going to happen. You see, you're not going to be bringing this racism and all this type of stuff into the movement. That goes for white people too. So-called white people. You're not going to continue this whole racist talk. You know what I'm saying? And then think you're going to do what I'm doing with this whole Native American thing and be a part of this think tank, because that's how the Philadelphia Experiment got messed up last time. Is two people should have been spiritual. And that's how I know I can fix it this time. I can fix the Merkabas of the people because I'm a healer. See, that's what they needed. They needed a healer to do it. And the aliens have figured that out. This is what the Andromedans have showed me. So you can't bring all of that other stuff, though, that toxic stuff. All it is toxicity. You're diseased. If you're racist, you're diseased. That's all you are. If you're in debt, you're diseased. You owe money and things like that. If you are a hater, you're diseased. If you're mad because somebody got more money than you, you're a disease to the planet. It's Mother Nature will eradicate you. So this is what the Philadelphia experiment is going to be about this time. And what happens and comes from this will determine your children's future, or if there will even be an Earth. Because this is the last time, really. Because next time is going to be about evacuating. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So I mean, I might as well just keep it real with you guys, because I know I said the portal's gonna open a few more times, but the next time the portal opens, it's gonna be about evacuating. This is why you see these movies where it's nobody on the earth and they're quarantining certain people from being in certain parts of the earth, because eventually it's going to be a separation. Because people that don't accept this, you're going to turn into a zombie, because you're in a time warp anyway. So you're going to turn into a zombie, or The Walking Dead. You're going to turn into that. This is why they're putting all these movies out. So this is all a part of the Philadelphia experiment, people. It's time to wake up. I have to fix the music industry. A lot of things have to be done. And I have to do this in a way to where I'm not talking about getting on the stage and getting the microphone and doing all of that. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. I'm talking about on a whole nother level. See, the person that's most responsible will be the one that's most unseen. It says in the Quran that Allah is unseen. What does this mean? This means that he employs people to do certain work. So I need help. Definitely need help. I'm getting help. We have people that's helping us right now, but for a lot of people coming at me and they want to help too, but then you want to do things on your terms. It's not going to happen like that. If you want to try to, like, once you don't understand something, because I'm dealing with this too, and because I'm going to test you. I'm not going to just come and help me. I mean, any wise master is going to do that. You think I'm going to just let you come help? You think just because this is the spiritual movement, they had you when the Dark Lords was running everything, you was getting fucked in the ass to go get a record deal and a contract or whatever. Yeah, I'm not scared to say that on the video. All kind of stuff was happening to you. You was getting screwed. You had to be a sex slave to make it onto television, to become, a politician. You had to do all kind of stuff. So just because the Starseed movement is in doesn't mean anything changed with tests. You're gonna be tested. I might not test you that way, but you're gonna definitely have to make a sacrifice. So I'm not gonna keep going on and on and on because I could, but the Philadelphia experiment is still in full effect. This is what it's about: unlimited progress. And it's always been about extraterrestrials. And if you're not ready, then just take the blue pill and click on another video. But a lot of people are. And I love you guys for that. So much love coming from my heart for those people that accept this knowledge. Even if you just accept it and go out and do your own thing, you don't have to call me on the phone and be a part of what I'm doing to be a part of the movement. A lot of people already realize that. You can watch these videos and do what you want to do after it. You can take a lot of the information and create your own ideas off of it. I'm cool with it. Why do you think I'm doing free videos? So it's not all about me, but I'm saying I do have to have responsibility, and I'm going somewhere. I mean, I have to go somewhere in order to fulfill my destiny. And some people are part of my soul group, and they're going to have to go with me, and you really don't have another way. So my thing is that we have to end the war. A war cannot break out this time, because if it does, the worst is yet to come. People in these ghettos and in these hoods and all of these sacrifices, you guys need to stop that. It's a way to end this stuff. It's a way to get out of debt without doing sacrifices and killing people. You see? But some of us just aren't ready, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. Again, thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for watching. And I'll leave you all in. Namaste.